Welcome and thank you for joining us on this our special program, the Congress of Men. It's a program of the men, by the men, and for the men. It takes cognizance of what happens to men from cradle to grave. And at the end of the day, we advise that every man should be his brother's keeper. I have some honorable men in the house today here with me. Starting from my far right there, I have our majority leader, Honorable Emmanuel Obeta. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and right here, I have the congressman, Honorable Tewa. And towards my left, I have Honorable Kamini.
Thank you, sir.
And at my far left, I have Honorable Bruno.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, and thank you all for joining us today. We'll be talking about the challenges, especially young men face in trying to say, oh, this is going to be my wife. Or even at the extreme, in trying to say, I'm not going to marry. Who wife help? you know, which is like this we're hearing these days. And oftentimes, this tend to overlap with what am I going to do for a living? How do I change from one profession to the other? How do I decide on this? Or which one do I do first? Do I marry before I decide to go to school? Or do I finish from school before I marry? Or do I marry while I'm in school? A lot of that. I think we want to talk about things that looks like that today. I don't know if any of you has any question that we want to start with. Bruno, do you think of any question?
Yeah, I would love to ask why men pressure themselves with like these topics that you just brought up. Like why men do pressure themselves about marriage, who they are going to marry, what they will do for a living. Meanwhile, female counterparts don't really pressure themselves about that. It seems like everything just comes to them.
Excellent. Now I want to tell you that there are precedents of everything. Like now, if you notice, I've introduced everybody, but I've not introduced myself. But just for the benefit of our viewer, I am the Speaker of this Congress, and my name remains Honorable Kingsley Okafor. Now, I want to give our majority leader the opportunity to ventilate that first. Then I will come back to our Congress member. Why is it that the pressure to do that is on the men and not the women? But first of all, I also want to let you know, unfortunately, we don't feel like women. We don't know what they go through.
Exactly.
That's why this Congress is predominantly what men feel and what we know. Exactly. We do know clearly that the pressure is on men, and we are not always able to even speak that the pressure is not on women, only that we think that the pressure is not on women. So let me come to Honorable Emmanuel Obeta, majority leader.
Okay, let me start this way.
Yes.
To assume that the pressure is not on women is not completely correct.
Exactly.
Because what we know, ladies, by the time they get to 30, the pressure of getting married is heightened.
Exactly.
And they can play around 20, 21, 25, and their biological clock.
Exactly.
At the point menopause comes in. So they are also under pressure to get married. Now, but why is the pressure more on the men? Because the man is the head of the family. You're the one who seeks out a woman to marry. It's not the woman who goes to marry a man. Okay, so the man is the head of the home. You are building your family. The responsibility is on you to take care of your family. You marry a wife in our culture, she answers your father's name, your name, and then the children bear your name. If the children are failures, they won't blame the mother. They are the children of so, and so, yourself. So that's why the pressure is more on the man to put his family together and then to bring up the family. And usually, men have dreams of what they want to become. So also the pressure of achieving that is there. That's on one level. Then the second level is also the societal pressure. By the time you're growing up, you have your age mates, you have your contemporaries. And then in so many families, although it's not the correct thing, your mother will tell you, can't you see your age mate? Or your father will tell you, can't you see your age mate? So whether you like it or not, that pressure is there. You want to rise up to your age mates. You don't want to be left behind. So by the time your age mates are going to school, maybe university, and you're not going to university, there is some level of inferiority complex that comes in. So it looks like your age mates have left you behind. If they're going into business, or if you decide to go into business and they're settling them, having their own shop, and you're nowhere, you don't want to be left out. So you always want to meet up. So those are some of the reasons why the pressure appears more to be on the men, as opposed to what we think, the women.
Good. Very, very good contribution. It's like Honorable Tower has a question to follow up.
Yes, I have a question to follow up. Talking about these pressures on men, actually young men, to say, I want to ask, is there a specific time for a young man to get married? Are there criteria, are there status you should get to before considering being married as a young man?
Excellent. Before I go to our majority leader to tackle that, let me see what any of you feel about that. Do you think there is age or certain criteria that you must meet?
Okay, so I think when it comes to age of getting married as a man, I am not sure there is a certain age, because when you consider married as a man, you are looking at a lot of factors. The factors that empowers me to get married at maybe 25, you may not have those factors. Exactly. Right? You may not have the financial capability and the emotional readiness to get married at 25. So I don't think it's like there is a fixed year for a particular person to get married. So you say, okay, if you are not married at 30 as a man, it means that you have failed in the marriage, let's say, community. So I don't think there is a fixed.
Okay, let's listen to our majority leader, make good sense of that.
Okay, I think also that's where we need to be very careful, this societal pressure. Because if care is not taken, it leads a lot of people to destruction. It messes up a lot of people. If your major reason of getting married is because your colleagues or your age mates are getting married, that is the very poor, major, dangerous premise for getting married. Because you're not getting married because you feel there is a need for it. You're not getting married because you're prepared or ready for it. You're just getting married to tick off a box to meet up societal expectation. And it leads to a lot of problems. The same way in certain careers. Just like you pointed out, the developmental cycle of every individual is different, especially men. Men mature at a different age from women. So, and like you also pointed out, the emotional readiness factor. So people should be very careful about such pressures, that can push you into doing things. It's advisable to do those things, especially marriage, when you are psychologically ready. Because sometimes also, for some people, you're not ready to welcome somebody into your life or to share your life on a 24 hours basis with somebody. And until you get ready, that psychological readiness, if you're forced into it, there will be something inside of you resisting it. And that resistance is ab initio one of the reasons why the marriage will crumble. Because the woman will keep reaching out to you. You're not ready. You're resisting. You still want to live your single life, your bachelorhood life. You still think you want to enjoy it, irrespective of the fact that you're already married. So the woman will be under a lot of pressure. And after a while, cracks will start developing.
From the unpreparedness.
Because of the unpreparedness. So there is no fixed age as far as I'm concerned. But be that as it may, also, you also need to
time to take
think of it, yes. Because if you're getting married at 50, for instance, and life expectancy, let's assume, is 80, how, when you don't know, and you give birth,
and you retire about 60.
So how are you going to take care of those young people you're going to bring?
So what he's saying in essence is that there must be a balance.
That's right. Between
not being under pressure, between also realizing that time waits for nobody. We're all drifting from cradle to grave in one way or the other. Let me see from Honorable Kemini, do you have any question to throw for us that we can talk about?
Okay, sir. Because I think one of the major factors in marriage is compatibility. Okay. Like you rightly say, you prefer flexibility. So I want a detailed explanation when it comes to that, because when they say compatibility, a lot of people don't even know what it means. So to what extent should a man be compatible with a woman so that he can consider marrying the person?
All right, I think the person that we'll still go back to is still going to be our majority leader. I would have thrown in something there, but let's hear from him. I mean, he just got married not too long ago. I think about 30 years ago. about 29 years ago. So he just got married just 29 years ago. So let's hear from him.
Hey, all right. Yeah, compatibility, like somebody said, that there are 3 levels of compatibility. One is emotional compatibility, physical compatibility, and mental, actually 4, and spiritual compatibility. 4 levels of compatibility. Emotional compatibility, like we've talked, like the temperament, for instance. You're a sanguine, and your wife is a choleric. And cholerics are very demanding, a little stubborn and insistent on their ways. And you're the sanguine, the happy-go-lucky person. You don't want any stress. You're the playboy kind of person, just for lack of words. You want everybody happy. But cholerics are very methodical in what they do. If they keep this cup there, they don't want you shifting it. But for you, as a sanguine, it don't matter whether the cup is there or
provided everybody's laughing.
So long as everybody is happy.
Yes.
So ab initio, if you don't manage that, you're going to have problems. You're going to have a lot of difficulties. You'll say your wife is stubborn, but that's her emotion. That's the way she is. So for you to marry, you need to ensure that there is that level of compatibility. Physical compatibility is not, for instance, it's not what you want is not what she wants. Your dress style is not what she wants. It's not compatible with what she would look. She wants to appear in a particular way. You don't like that particular dress. She keeps herself in one particular way. You don't like it. Or she doesn't like the way you dress. So that is a potential area for trouble. Because you get married, when she has children, a whole lot of things will start changing. When you also start growing up, a whole lot of things will start changing. Give for example, there are some women that do not like beards. And there are some men that like beards.
Yes.
So you may think it's a minor issue.
No, it's not.
Okay, but it's not a minor issue.
Yeah.
For a woman who doesn't like beards, you're going to sleep with her on the bed. And your beard will be touching her at your intimate moments. So how do you resolve those things? You need to, so it's not something you can wish away. These are practical issues. So you have to be compatible at that level. Then mentally, you have to also be, the way you think, the way you reason, the way you look at things. Maybe you're the business conscious person, you're the investment minded, you're prone to creating wealth. So you want to save for tomorrow. Your wife may be the jai kind of person.
Yes.
Every weekend there must be party.
Yes.
And with party there must be a shuebi, and then somebody, and you're not that kind of person. So mentally you're not at the same level. So how are you going to manage it? Then spiritually too is very key. Maybe you're a Christian, she is not a Christian, or maybe you have a level of devotion to God, and she is the kind of person that doesn't care anything about God, or it might be vice versa. Those are the potential areas of trouble. So when you talk of compatibility, there must have to be some level of agreeableness between the two of you on those issues. Because you know why it's important? Some people make the mistake of getting married. I will change the man, or I will change the woman. That is a no-go area. The way the woman is, that is the way she's going to be, except God intervenes. You don't change adults. Children, maybe before the age of 6, they are tabula rasa. After 6 years of age, they are set in their ways. So you can imagine adults. So it is difficult, it's almost impossible to change adults. So if you see a woman or if you see a man and you don't like some things about him or her, if you can't resolve it before marriage, don't bother going into marriage.
Excellent.
It's not something you wish away. No. If there are those fundamental issues and you can't resolve them, it's better you have a broken relationship than a broken marriage. Because those things, for instance, her lifestyle in terms of finances is not going to change, or your own lifestyle towards finances is not going to change. And there will be continuous friction. And if care is not taken, that's where the thing will happen.
Thank you, our majority leader. Excellent. So you were talking about, Honorable Bruno, you were talking about pressure before. I wanted to ask you, Honorable Tewa and Ekemini, do you believe in what he said, that young people, face a kind of pressure? And if you believe in that, do you have idea how that pressure might be minimized or eliminated? Before I go back to our majority leader. Any of you? You have idea, Honorable Tewa?
Yes.
Do you think there are pressures on young boys, on thinking of marriage, on when to get married, or who to marry?
Okay. Yes. Actually, I would say yes, there's pressure.
Okay.
And this pressure is so high, I would say.
Okay.
Yes, because most young men out there would judge themselves by looking at other persons.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
You only know you are shocked because you saw a tall man. Yes, you can't remove that, no doubt.
So when you consider some of these things,
of course.
so I feel when you start considering these things that are not worth considering, it brings up some unnecessary pressure on you. Yes, it can be minimized. Yes. Why I said so is, just as our faces are different, so our heart.
Okay.
You have where you're going to.
Our
you have where you're coming from.
Our cycle,
yes.
The pattern of our development, like majority leader said earlier.
So I feel if you have those things lingering in your heart, your destination, where you're coming from and stuff, you may not be moved or being pressured by people around, or looking at your peers getting married and stuff, thinking, okay, I should be doing it now, whereby it's not the right time.
All right. Honorable Kamini, you have a word there?
Okay, sir. I think I'm going to agree that we are under pressure.
Okay.
And it increases as we are getting older every year. And I think we can reduce, or because if we said that we're totally going to get rid of the pressure,
it's unlikely,
it's
near impossible.
But I think we can reduce it if we are conscious about our circle of influence. Because if I'm going to Abuja and I wake up to a park and book a bus, an intern bus that's going to Lagos State, it will be very, very hard for me to get to Abuja when the people that left with the Abuja bus. So I have to be streamlined in life I have to set clear goals and objectives, being conscious of the timeline as well.
Okay.
Young men have to be introduced to setting goals and knowing what you want early, so that you won't
Knowing
just go
what
with
you
the
want
flow.
early, exactly.
You won't just go with the flow with the masses. At the end of the day, you just wake up and realize, oh, time is gone. I've not been able to do anything. So I think it will help if we set clear goals. Okay, I'm going to pursue my career and profession first. Or some people would like to get married first. Like you said.
Yes.
So anyone that works for you, I think people should have to maybe set that goals and objectives in place.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. And we have to also know that you can't separate the fruit from the seed. If you choose, nobody's going to tell you this is the most correct way. Even our majority leader has not said that he's giving ventilation. If you choose, for example, I want to marry first when you don't have a job, the pressure is different. You can also minimize this pressure by setting a timeline for certain things for yourself. Steve Harvey said something that success is not where I am or even how far I've come, but how far I've come from where I started from.
Exactly.
Where I started from is different from where Honorable Tewa started from, different from where Honorable Ifiora started from. You must have that self-appraisal. And like he was talking about compatibility. He talked about test, he talked about jaye person. There is this adage that cut the neck, cut the head. Now inside the same cow meat. You should understand how these things are funded. Lifestyles will resort to finance. It's so important that if she's jaye type, stop complaining this girl too like money. There are those who are not jaye type. They say if there be any virtue, if there be any good thing, if there be any of this, think of those things. I don't know if you got me. So he has made it clear that people have their pathways. You can't change adult. Neither you can't change the person. The time you invest in preaching, this girl to like money, this girl to invest that time in your own compatibility. That compatibility threshold means as much as is admissible for you. While you are doing that, I'm confident she might be doing that from her own end. Okay. If it's the type that has issues with what we call deferred consumption, they can't move any enjoyment forward. But you are the type that can move it forward. So once it's their birthday, it must be celebrated. Sure. Whether your rent was due that day or the where you're working, you have not been paid, that birthday must be celebrated. If she's that type, she's not going to change. My majority that has told her, she's not going to change. Don't go and marry her and start doing fasting and prayer. Because it's not going to, she can't deal with the deferred consumption. Her birthday must be late. Okay? So you got to know that. And as you're putting that pressure might not be there because we are looking at something that will work now and will also work. Somebody is here 29 years down the line. I mean, you understand? So, even people like us that started just yesterday, 90 years has gone. So, you understand? Because at the end of the day, the pressure you are facing today have always been there, but maybe not in the same manner. You were talking about preference. Chasing what you need to chase first, while other things follow. So you take about that compatibility. Let me also come and see if any of you has a question on how do you determine or notice the person to pick in addition to this compatibility. There are quite other things to look at. Do you have any questions in that regard? Okay, let me get to our majority leader to help us, how these days people say, I don't know who to choose. I don't even know where they arrive at the point where they don't know who to choose. In the first place, because you initiated many processes. So now, is it more encouraging for our younger ones to do something like basic sampling and begin to narrow it down to where they get into dilemma, or these compatibility checks are inherently done, why they are just scanning the room. How do you pick, okay, say, girl, hello, come. I want to check whether we're how would they arrive? How are they going to do it?
Okay.
We want you to help us.
Okay. For me, I think there are two major problems. One is that a lot of people, by the time they are talking about marriage, they have not really fully understood themselves. They don't know themselves. They don't know who they are. They have not really identified who am I. What do I really want in life? Where am I going? What do I want to achieve in life? What direction am I headed to? Because it's only when you have identified those factors, then you can now go to the second level and ask yourself, who can go with me in this journey?
Having known yourself.
Yes. Because when you know yourself, you know your limitations. For instance, financially, I'm not the frugal kind of person. I can't control my funds. So when you know you're not the frugal kind of person, you know already you have a problem. So if you want somebody that will help you achieve your goal and your desires in life, you complement.
So you notice what he's saying. So the compatibility itself, as if he's prophetic, doesn't have to be that because I like beans, that you also like beans. I was listening to a 93-year-old man, majority leader will come to you very shortly. I was listening to a 93-year-old man who has been married for close to 60 years. And he said, there is only one thing why you are married, and there's only one thing you are in marriage, to make the life of your partner better. And your partner is there to make your life better. So when you are looking at the compatibility, it's not only I like beans, she like beans. It's about I needed to go this length. I can walk this length. She can complete this length.
That's right.
For us to complete the equation.
To get to where we want
to get to where we want to get to. So in some form, that compatibility that I can't arrange, you might also need who can arrange.
True.
If two of you can do it peacefully and it's not a problem. Do you see how it comes? Because he has highlighted that in some form, we come with certain, how do I call it, fractionality.
Yes,
Limitations. All of us have certain limitations. So you would want that limitation to be conquered, possibly through another person who do not have that kind of limitation. So I yield my
Thank you very much. So, because those young men have not fully understood themselves, they get carried away by so many things. When they see a yellow person, they get carried, yellow. They see a dark, ebony person, you get carried away. In other words, you're not talking about the real issues. It's just the ephemeral things that you're being carried. And that's why a lot of people get confused. Now, but when you know your weakness, so when you meet that lady, what you're now checking out is, this is who I am. Who is this lady? And when you find out who she is, how does she relate to money? How does she relate to family? How does she relate to career? How does she relate to my goals in life? Is she somebody that, assuming there are hardships that comes in my life when there are ups and downs, is she somebody that can stay with me, that can go through difficult moments, or is it the fair weather kind of person?
Good. You see what our majority leader has just pointed out. I don't know the lesson we are learning from there. He said, when life is up and down, can the person be with me? I'm so sure you are meeting up with ladies saying, I don't date a broke man. You're going to see that you can't change them if they're already adult. Remember what we said. Because there are people who are not saying that. Don't think you are going to change. Because to them, your life must be, once you're dogu forever. You can't get sick. You can't have business problem. There are no times where things will be done. But like our majority leader have said, it's actually more constant that things are up and down for things not to be done. It is not on record of any man that has all lived his life and there is no a down moment. If you remember, I mean, being a president of a nation is probably the peak of a career or the best, if you call it luck, or how lucky you could be in life. But remember when one of our presidents lost election, so I don't know whether my wife will leave me. He jokingly said it, But that's just what life, that's what he's trying to say. So you must, while making a choice of wife, at some point, there must have been certain days or certain times where you didn't get what you're supposed to get. True. How did she manage it? How did she deal with it? Do not pretend about it. These are practical things. How did she manage it? Do you understand? Your deficiency, which is not permanent, which you didn't subscribe for. Certainly, we are not asking anybody to settle for less. Do you understand? The deficiencies that are not permanent, initiated by certain things, which she sees, she saw that this is not your characterization. You can't be characterized permanently by that thing that happened. How did she manage it is very, very important. I need my daughter once.
Yeah. So, you see, because a lot of young people are not matured, they are not looking at those basic, intricate factors. What they are looking at is, how light, hype she is. Mm-hmm. She's a beautiful lady, that's right. Socially acceptable. Mm-hmm. I can go to party with her. How presentable is she, and all that. Those things are just the physics, that can change with time. So you now marry somebody based on those societal factors. She speaks good English. She's very presentable. She dresses well. Not that those things are not important. Very important. But beyond those physical first layers, what are the underground layers? So assuming you now marry somebody because very fair in complexion and you like somebody who is fair in complexion, and you didn't get to find out that she has a terrible temper. And you see, the other deceptive thing about getting married is that a lot of people pretend at the point of courtship. They are not their real self, both the men and both the women. Because the man is trying to, to influence, or how do I put it, prove to the girl that she's something, satisfy her, live up to her expectation. So you may not be your real self. And the girl also is most likely not her real self. I'll give you an example. There was a young lady I was discussing with sometime. I just jokingly asked her, if your husband slaps you, not because I support violence.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not because I tolerate it. I am not in any form of shame.
It shouldn't happen.
Okay, it shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
No excuse for being violent with your spouse.
Certainly.
But I just asked her, assuming your husband slaps you, she said it depends. If we are still courting, that she will accept, she will tolerate it. But that if they are married, that she will not take it.
Take that.
Have you seen?
Two conditions.
So she will pretend to get married. But after marriage, her real self will come out. And it's still the same thing with men.
Yes.
While you're courting your girlfriend, chances are that you won't drink Gary. You won't call her to come and drink Gary with you. Yeah. You want to take her to eatery and all that, which could be pretentious.
Can you pick something from what he has said? Because I told you our mainstream is how it affects men. We can't change. We don't have any woman here now, so we can talk to ourselves. You as a man, there is no need of painting the light of is all colorful.
That's right.
Let me tell you, when I got married in 2006, somebody came to where I was living. He said, you need to move to a bigger place. I said, no. This is where I will start from, because this is where she knew me from. Do you understand? So you have to, I had money to get a bigger place back then, but I didn't. It's always good for them to know you as you are. Don't paint a picture of all worthy person at all times.
Yeah.
actually that kind of human being does not even exist. That at all times it is all well. That is, and I haven't been that now. so don't be ashamed to present it who you are.
That's right.
That I'm kind of broke today. I don't know. I don't want it to. I'm kind of broke. This I can't do this now. It doesn't make you to not have value.
That's right.
So don't pretend. So we don't want you to pretend. We don't want you to say, oh, try to borrow to cover up. No, it is unnecessary. Do not do it, because at the end of the day, you are deceiving her.
That's right.
And you are going to reap the reward of deception.
That's right.
So I hit my gavel again.
You see, because I'm just taking from the cue from what
Yes.
you were saying. You're giving her false hope.
Yes.
And false expectations.
Yes.
You're building a dream in her mind that, oh, my guy is wonderful. He has everything I want. He's comfortable. Everything is honky-dory. Whereas it is not. So when she now comes in and you now open up yourself and you find out that it's a facade you have been presenting to her, that will be the first shock.
Exactly.
And the major disappointment. So this guy is not who I thought he was.
And she will react.
And if unfortunately for you too, she was not what you thought, because she was also living a facade,
Yes.
trying to pretend to appease, to meet up to your own expectation. So falsehood was the basis or the premise of starting that relationship. And that's why it's going to collapse. But like he has said, this is who I am. This is my village. This is where I come
Exactly.
from. This is my family.
Exactly.
These are my people. If my people are like this, you exposed her to those your people ab initio. So she has a choice to make. Can I cope with these people or can I not cope with these people? Because there's no point you shield her from every member of your family, and eventually she gets to know the intricacies, the family politics, and the family dynamics. And she now tells you, look, this is not what I signed up for. I can't deal with this. And then she now becomes nasty to your mother, and then the mother-in-law wife issue starts. But you can manage ab initio. If there are fundamental flaws in your family, you introduce her to it. Say, look, these are my people. Oh. Okay, so she now makes up her mind with you. How do we resolve this issue? How do we walk around it? There are problematic individuals within your family. How do we walk towards it? So the two of you will now build an entity and say, look, this is how we deal with this person. This is how we deal with this person. And from her own side also, you work out a mechanism, not something that is not existing, or the woman is not exposed. My father is the managing director, chief executive of that, until eventually you find out that the father is nobody. And then that's a big issue. So when that honesty is the beginning, then you solidify. It creates a premise for going forward. So, and then like we said, that is the basis of compatibility. Because she understands you. Look, this is where I am. I'm living in a one-bedroom apartment. Yeah. Face me, I face you. That is where I am today. Does not mean that is where I will end to. So if she's comfortably to go out with me at that level, so I'm not pretending. She knows. Okay, she comes, I don't have a bed. There is a foam on the ground. If you don't like it, no problem. If you can't cope with it, take a walk. This is who I am. I will start from here and I will build up. Good. Then if you are also established and you're comfortable, there is also no, you also don't flaunt your money in her, before her. Not because you're being deceptive, but because, okay, I'll give you an example. You're courting, and you have already laid the background. Every summer, you pay for her flight ticket to go for holidays while you're still courting. So she gets used to it. Summer holidays, I'll go to England or go to US. Christmas holidays, I will travel. So you have built it up. So when she now comes in or you get married, you can't stop it because that's what you have already started. So courtship is a time for you guys to be real with yourselves. This is who I am. This is who I am. These are my goals. These are my dreams. most importantly, this is where I want to get to in life. This is the sacrifice I think I'm willing to make and I'm going to make to get to where I want to get to in life. Are you coming along with me? Are you willing to make those sacrifices? Can we work together to build out the future? I may not have it all together, but I plan to have it all together tomorrow. So we work together. By the time we have baked the cake, all of us can eat the cake.
Excellent. You see what he talked about, the dream.
Yeah.
As far as it was important for the person to know where you are standing today, it's also very important for the person to be able to know that you have a pathway to where you're going. And once you're talking about making a choice of a wife, you are talking about somebody who is an adult. And there is no adult who has not done something before.
Exactly.
You have to have built something to where you are. It could be you just finished school. It could be you learn to do something. It could be you can operate something. It could be because she's going to look at that potential. So do not think I'm going to come out and say, okay, this is who I am. I'm broke. I'm forever broke. And this is who I am. You are not going to get a wife. You are not going to get a wife.
No future ambition.
No future ambition. Because she has not seen any capability so demonstrated, no matter how small it is. Because you're already an adult. You have some years behind you. She's going to evaluate those years. Yeah, putting challenges, putting what you call maybe some other good times, superimposing all of them, she must see your capability. But again, even while that capability is already shining, be watchful not to start at a pedestal that is not sustainable. Sustainability means certain things that can happen in itself. And that is where your own, as a man, your method of spending is important. Do not spend your income that is dependent on employment as somebody who is spending an income that is dependent on investment. If you are close to those who do accounting, there's a very useless way they classify income. They say earned income and unearned income. Actually, all income are earned. You know why they call it unearned income? You are probably sleeping somewhere, they paid your rent. But you didn't go there to work that day. So things like that are classified as unearned income because you are sleeping while it's happening. But if you need to go to work, you need to resume, then you need to be paid. It's earned income because that money is dependent on what you are doing, no matter how large it is, no matter how plenty it is. They are not all out for vacation at the beginning when the journey has not started. Vacation was supposed to be a rest after some days' work, after some years' work, after some decades of work. You don't start relationship by that. Relationship you start from vacation is highly unlikely that you are able to sustain it. I yield the gavel once again.
Thank you. So I think those are the critical factors. Then some of the other things also are family and cultural pressures, which we have talked about. Those ones you manage, especially from our mothers, you know. They tell you they want a grandchild. And they pressurize you.
Maybe you are the only son.
And if care is not taken, they will arrange somebody for you from the village. You know, but those are all pressures. But I think, you know, here and there, you know, it also depends on how you manage those things. Because if your mother sees you as somebody who has a future, who is working steadily towards something, who is not frivolous or careless, you know, or irresponsible, to use the word, she will give you that benefit of time and work with you towards, you know, the point where you're ready to achieve those things. So, for me, I think those are the critical issues, you know, in making the choice of a life partner, you know, and then ensuring that you build up a steady home.
All right. I wanted to ask if any of you has a question before before I go on to another thing. Okay. Honorable Bruno, let's listen to you.
You mentioned sacrifice.
Yeah.
Right? So I wanted to know the line between sacrifice and hustle and foolishness.
Okay.
They say behind every successful man there is a woman. Now, there was this case whereby a lady was trying to pressure her boyfriend to literally upgrade himself by urging him to do internet fraud.
Yeah.
And with the surge in internet fraud, our prisons are getting saturated. Men are trying their possible best in these climes, where things are somewhat tough to make a living, to make ends meet.
Yeah.
And in a case such as this, would we see this girlfriend as heaven sent or the devil?
I think that's a very deadly trap for you. I'm being honest with you. Any lady that can boldly encourage you to get into criminal activities, to be able to fund your lifestyle, to make her comfortable, is digging a grave for you. Americans have a saying, if you don't want to do the time, don't do the crime.
Yeah.
There is no, that's the mistake a lot of people make in life. You can never be too smart never to get caught. You can see it everywhere. The guy in Dubai, what's that his name?
Hush puppy.
Hush puppy. Where is he today? You can be smart. Go for all that 100 times and go scot-free. The 101 time you'll get caught. And everything you have done or achieved will be rubbished. You can see it everywhere. You can see it. People who build their life on a very frivolous criminal background. Pablo Escobar, who was one of the prominent drug lords, very rich, daring and all that, for so many years, made so much money, eventually got caught. So there is no criminal anywhere in the world that is so smart to avoid getting caught. So anybody encouraging you to go into crime is the best ground to break up that relationship.
And that is why, as young people, we understand the problems you face of getting emotionally committed when you have not been practically committed. Because otherwise, this should be a no-no. I mean, in this they call it red flag. I think this one is even a black flag. So, for somebody who has a lifestyle and she can't afford that, it is not your duty to afford it. Write that thing down. It's not your duty to afford any kind of lifestyle for anybody. You are proof of capability. It's not slavery. You are not meant to labor so that somebody can have what we call soft life. It's a useless language in the first place. Because in any soft life, there's hard life.
Exactly.
I just talked about vacation. Vacation not preceded by tiredness. What is the essence of vacation?
Rest.
It's to rest. So if you have not worked, what are you resting for? So that kind of person that should be the end. But it begins to be a problem for the boy because he was already emotionally committed. So she has looked at those superficial things without looking at those things that are inherently inside. And the smart thing that is there is just exactly what he said. It's like crime. You can't be that smart. Let me tell you, there is no way somebody will be able to pretend that long. It starts from you walking into the supermarket with a girl. She goes to the other one. There's nothing wrong in good things. Oh, we are using a very beautiful mic here. There's nothing wrong. But good things that you can afford.
Beautiful.
And planned for.
You have to. If you can't afford it, it's not within your zone. So, ordinarily walking into a supermarket, you will know her. She goes for that, she goes for that, she goes for that. That's not what you people came for in the first place.
Wow.
The one that is going to be it for you, go tell you, oh, no. Bruno, leave that one. It's too costly. It's too expensive. Leave that one. I think I know where to even buy this one cheaper. Write it down. What did I say? Write it down. It's very, very important. That one is unlikely to tell you to go into crime in order to survive. A woman who sees you, a young lady who thinks you are not man enough because you are not doing crime to answer Odogu, is not the one you can live all your life with. There's going to be some trying moments. I'm not cursing, I'm not saying, I'm not trying to be pessimistic. There's never a time such times will not come where you do not have what she wants you to have. There's a simple saying that if you're not enough today, you're never going to be enough.
Yes, completely.
If you are not enough as you are never going to be enough.
Very true.
Any other question before I throw in something I want him to talk about?
Okay, I want to talk about the compatibility aspect.
Okay.
Now, could there be a specific time for this courtship? Because, like we're discussing, you find out some characters are being unveiled while a woman is in the marriage already. So, could there be a time frame, a specific time frame, whereby you do this courtship and you know, okay, now I have tested her, I have tried, I've seen if we are compatible. Should there be a time frame for this?
Usually, those are what falls under reasonability. But let me just allow our majority leader to talk about it.
You see, let's flip it the other side. You meet somebody, a man, a boy, or a colleague. You're working in an office. How long does it really take you to say, out of the entire staff, I like this person.
Yeah.
This is my friend. I can work with this person, not just on official level, but on a personal level. You see, life has a way of gravitating to each other.
Yes.
It's normal. Okay, so I'm saying that for a reason. That there is no timeline for you to be able to decide, okay, I can trust this person. This person is not the kind of person I can trust. I can't work with this person, but I can work with this person. So for so many people, but because marriage is fundamental, people take more time to be sure. But there is also the other side of it. People in the guise of being sure can be deceiving themselves.
Exactly.
Both the girl and the man. You keep a lady for 5 years. What kind of courtship are you doing for 5 years? Or you're in a relationship with a girl for 5 years, and she keeps telling you that she's not ready for marriage yet. That is a red flag. That means she will never be ready for marriage. And for the man too, he's not interested in marriage. You understand what I'm saying? But reasonably, 6 months, 1 year, you've been with somebody, it's enough ground for you to look, okay, this person, I can work with this person. This person, I can work with this person. And within that period of time, you will have also created scenarios or exposed her or him to different scenarios to be able to find out who she really is. I'll give you an example. For instance, within that 1 year, you will have hanged out with your friends and you will have brought her along. So your friends will look at her and help you assess her, whether you like it or not. They'll have an opinion about the girl. And she will also exhibit herself. Some of your friends will tease her. They may not be as cautious as you, but they'll go out of their way to tease her. And in the process of teasing her, she will show up her real, kind of person. You might also have taken her to see your brother or your sister, your auntie, or your mom, or taking her to a family occasion within that 1 year. Maybe there should have been a wedding in the family, or there should have been something. So you go. You'll look at her in a particular setting. I'll give you an example also. Maybe there is a family event, and she coming in as your potential spouse doesn't show interest in what is happening, in trying to make any input. All she's interested in staying in the room when food is ready.
Or how she's served.
They bring her own food.
And complain that they didn't serve her well. Somebody who should be serving.
And tell you the kind of thing she wants. When she wants it. If they are not ready, she goes out and gets it. That tells you that, look, this is not somebody who really wants to be part of this family. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not asking that she will come and take care, but at least she will show concern that this is my future spouse, Even if she's not getting involved in the cooking, she can come around and be encouraging the people that are cooking. Do one or two things, create smile, make them laugh, cheer them up. That shows you that she has interest, in that kind of your family, or that she really loves your family. And that gives you also an environment to know whether she can bond with your mom, because whether you like it or not.
Particularly in African
For a
setting.
lot of men,
Yes.
your mom is a critical
Yes.
factor, It usually is an issue. So you want to see how the two of them get along. You will have seen all that. And within that time, you make up your mind if you're really, serious.
You see from what he has said, Honorable Tewa, it's not more of the time not being enough. It is about it happening and you not wanting to treat it. People have to try to elevate some other things beyond the flag, whichever color the flag is. So once you elevate that, you're always thinking, I need more time, I need more time, I need more time. You're the one deceiving yourself.
She will change.
Yes, she will change. It's not the girl. That is why this forum is more of tackling the men. Leave the women, don't worry. Don't lay blame on them. It's more of you. Because if you can take decisions like driving, if there's going to be a collision, why will I blame the other driver for not matching brake? I have brake on my own. I could control it. Why don't I match the brake myself? And I choose to not match the brake and blame another person for not matching the brake. So it is more of us. He said there is a natural cause of gravitation, and it's true. Sometimes they have revealed themselves in 1 week. Because we've had about 6 months, 1 year. In that 1 week, we didn't even take note of what happened in that 1 week. What we were looking for at the end of the 6 months had happened in the first 2 weeks. He used the party as an example. In as much as the reason for coming is not for you to be a house girl, a house boy. I was telling somebody, when you meet anybody, your first duty is to establish relevance.
That's right.
If her duty is just only to be served, anybody can be that. Then the benchmark of being chosen is not there. Do you understand? So there must be that sense of involvement. And when it happens, When it's not happening, also, but you are just trying to think the other way around. And you just want to think there is more time. But now, let's be also practical and factual. Even though you want to give somebody 5 years, there are certain things that are not going to show up within those periods. Do you know why? Some of those things are not possible to have shown because they are dependent on, for example, a woman giving birth. After giving birth, her system is entirely going to change. You, even as a young man, as you grow older, your needs are going to change. Maybe by this time, I doubt if you'll be talking about chieftaincy title. But there are some people that are this age, all you want to do is work. By the time they start getting old, they want to start getting chieftaincy title. And your wife said, I don't like this kind of chieftaincy things. So how do you do with those things that really were not a problem at the beginning? And there was no way you would have known because they were dependent on the things that actually happened either by maturity thereafter and all that. Remember, that is where the initial benchmark of compatibility, the second compatibility we talked about, which is the complementary compatibility, where two of you have different things, but you can bring it together to complete each other. The mechanism you use then is what you use. There's one German pastor. If you go to meet him, I forgot his name, that you want to get married, there's only one question he asks you. Do you know the question? He will ask you, have you people quarreled before? If you say no, you say, go and quarrel.
Yes.
And come back.
Come back, that's right.
Then if he asks you, have you quarreled before? You say yes. He say, have you people settled? I say yes. Okay, good. It means you are ready for marriage. So, because there are certain things, differences that you will still deal with. But because you have a mechanism of complementary completion, let me if I can put it that way. where what you have is not enough, then she brings her own to complete it. Fine. And issues of sacrifice that he talked about, that is where it comes in. And that is why in those days, I don't know if they have written it, when you're getting married, they say it's for better, for worse. But unfortunately today, when the worse shows up, they say, I can't take it. But that was what you signed for. Does worse sound like vacation? What was or when they say for what? What's this? But that's what you signed for. What you signed for has just happened. So when they now, they say, no. No, I can't take kids. Because everything was built on self. And like he said, likely you have seen that self at the beginning. Remember, I talked about the 93-year-old man who said the only reason you are going with another person is to make that person's life better. And the why she's coming into yours is to make your own better. So somebody coming in must have capacity to make certain things you have better. I don't know if we're at peace. Any question? Just our time is all fast spent. Okay.
My last question.
Yeah.
For today.
And last question for today.
Okay, sir. So,
our time is
one of the major issues for young guys I've observed also is the fear of commitment.
Okay.
There is that fear. I don't know whether, let me just narrow it down to Nigeria, considering the economic predicament. So we guys, we are afraid to commit. Because when you look at the resources that are available and the number of people that have to take out from the resources, it's like it's not enough. So when you are looking at marrying, and you now look at the cost of marrying and the cost of running the family as a young man, when you don't have enough coming in, it's not, probably you have enough coming in, but you think maybe what is coming in is not enough for you and another person. Maybe it's just enough for only you. So in that situation, please, what do we do?
Okay, let me allow him throw in something, then thereafter I will cap up with certain things you might also not be thinking of.
Okay.
Majority like it.
You see, the example I want to use, let's use football. Okay? I'm sure for just argument's sake. Messi used to play with Neymar and some other people. And you see, in that football setting, there is like an unconscious premonition as to where each person will be at different times. It's unconscious. It's already programmed in their mind. And they can always bet where Messi or somebody, so they can always pass ball to that point. And that is why they score. What am I saying? They have seen themselves as partners. And that's why if you ask those people, they will always want to play with one or two players. Because those players understand them and there is a rhythm or a dynamics, between the two of them. So if you have that rhythm with that woman, that dynamic, resonance with her, the issue of commitment will not arise. Because you understand her and she understands you. And you see yourself as partners. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, like we talked about finance. She's somebody who does not hold on to her finance. She's willing to chip in the little she has, to complement whatever efforts you are making. So she's not just waiting for you to bring the money, but she sees herself as a stakeholder in this relationship. And also when honesty is there, you're honest about your money, she's honest about her money, then you see yourself as partners. And then once that relationship dynamics is there, the issue of commitment will not arise because automatically, I'm sure, for instance, it happens to a lot of us. If you have trouble now, a problem, among your friends, there is one person that will most likely come to your mind. Why do you call that person? Because as far as you're concerned, he's the most reliable kind of person. And he will show up. Others may not show up, but you are sure that come rain, come sunshine, death or alive, the guy will show up. Even if it means to go and fight, he will go and fight with you. So you have established that kind of rapport relationship with that kind of person. Second reason why people fear commitment is as a result of the past traumas and experiences they have had in relationships and in marriages. A lot of us have seen a lot of marriages crash. And we also come from homes and families, and the example of marriage we may have seen may not be the best around us. So if we have seen the wrong example of marriage, you find out that we will not be too eager to jump into marriage. If I know A, B, C, D, E, F that I love, I respect, I looked up to, got into marriage, and they are having problems in their marriage, the question is, how is my own going to be different?
All right, there's another thing I want to add to what he has said, because our time is fast spent. As a bachelor, you think you have a kind of optimized your potential. You think you have used up your productive potentials. So you're judging yourself now based on the potential you have, your income and all that. But I tell you, there is a responsibility that will come in now. You realize that you can produce more. Okay? You realize that you can pick up another second job. You realize that you can finish your job in the evening and not go to and play snooker. You go and do something else. You see some people, they work in Federal Secretariat in the evening, they use their vehicle to do Uber. You begin to think in alternative means. You thought this was your boundary, you now enlarge the domain. And also, your personality will change. A man who has pampers to buy cannot say, I'm resigning. You are not my God. I'm resigning. And people don't insult me like that. I see, I know they take insult too. And he goes home and resign. If there is a baby you are going to buy pampers, if a guy to say, sorry sir, don't worry, we'll settle it. You now realize there is a peaceful way of settling. Do you know why? Because you need that thing. It will affect yourself as a person. It will affect that productive capacity will increase. You will know you have been you'll be moving from Lugbe, you are rushing. Somebody is calling, where are you now? Where are you? You say, sorry, sir, I'm very close. I'm very, very close. Your attitude. But if it's just bachelor, you go because there's nobody to feed. It's not due. The expense is not due. You will continue to get scared. And you can get scared up to 50. And remember, you need to train your child. so that's right. So I think our time is fast spent. And thank you all for being around. And I hope in our next edition of the Available to do justice to those things that affect men from cradle to grave. And don't forget, be your brother's keeper.